Hey, welcome to Retired Now What, the podcast that's here to guide you through the exciting journey of retirement. Whether you're asking yourself now what or eager to explore the untapped possibilities in this new chapter, you're in the right place. I'm your host, Michael Kiffmeyer, and together we will discover how to repurpose your knowledge, embrace mastery, and live a purpose driven life. Let's dive in. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining this podcast, which is You're Retired, Now What? This is episode number 11 in the series of podcasts that addresses those of us that are retired and what are we going to do and what is our next purpose in this life. You know, when you worked, you knew what was required of you from day to day, but now that's all changed, and you're making up the rules, and you're trying to find what is your purpose for the next phase of your life. Well, when you start to break that down, there's a couple things that you learn. And you learn that you've planned really hard and you thought everything you're doing is financially responsible. But then you learned on down the path here that we're actually living another 25 to 30 years longer than previous generations. And that's basically based on better health care. We can attack diseases that we never could deal with before. We can, just because we've broken a hip or a shoulder, that's not a disability anymore. You can get that repaired and be back as good as new. But you had never really planned on living another 25 to 30 years past your retirement age. And say you retired at 65, that means you would be retired at for another 25 or 30 years. So how are you going to financially handle that? And what are you going to do to ensure your financial stability? So I'd like to give you about 7 mistakes that people make in retirement that shakes their financial stability to its very gills. And one of the first mistakes that you can avoid doing, these are things that you can control, is first showering people with money that you love. I know we all want to give to our children and our relatives, etc. But you reach a point that you're going to have to take care of yourself first. And if you run into this kind of situation that you thought you had X amount of dollars and you're starting to learn that you no longer have as much as you thought, you got to put the brakes on and you got to sit with your relatives, your children, or whoever else that you might want to help out and just have an honest conversation with them. You need to tell them, look, I never planned for retirement this many years. I am more than willing to help when I can, but I have learned I got to put a limit on my spending. And that includes, what I help you out with from month to month and any plans that I had to help others as well. Don't be ashamed of this. It's a fact. In the past, I will say at least 5 years, this world's been turned upside down after the pandemic. And we've been hit with expenses. We're hit currently with an administration that the inflation has gone through the roof. What I read the other day, that something as simple as eggs have increased in price by 71%. That is crazy. You used to be able to buy, and my wife always cautions me of saying you used to be able to because I date myself. But it's a fact. And when we get hit with these astronomical prices, like gasoline, I live in California. Average price of gasoline here is like $5. And I won't even tell you when I was a younger man how much I was paying for gas. But it's a real concern. It's a concern for what automobile you buy. And by the way, have you looked at how expensive automobiles are right now? They're through the roof. They're absolutely through the roof. So people have to stop and think and ponder, do I really need this? And what am I going to do? The other mistake that we make, we think we have all the time in the world, we delay decluttering. If you're anything like me and my wife, we've got artifacts and memories from 30, 40, even 50 years ago. That's a lot of stuff. And guess what I learned? My kids don't want it. And I've learned that imposing my values on them is not something they want. So why keep all these things? And if you do what I'm doing, I actually have a storage unit to house more stuff. It's about the craziest thing I've ever heard, and I say this to you and I become vulnerable in front of you because I know many of you have done the same thing. So you could declutter this, you could give it to charities, and guess what? If you're financially pinched, you can sell it. Have a yard sale, have a garage sale, and move this merchandise that you're not only going to use anymore to somebody that can use it, and you might be able to profit from it, or at least you can have a good feeling that you've donated it to somebody in real need. The third mistake that people make is they try to live in the lap of luxury. If you were making $12,000 a year when you worked, $12,000 a month when you worked, and now you're down to $4,800, that's a big dip. Do you have the financial means to make that up so you can live the way that you did before? Do you need to live the way you did before? I know in 2017, I went from a 3,500 square foot home on a golf course down to an 1,100 square foot home in just a regular neighborhood. Do you know what? My wife and I are getting along fine. All we have is 3 little dogs and the 2 of us. And we've learned we can live with all those things. And at one time, those things meant something. They're not so important anymore. So you got to make sure that if you can get rid of things, you do it. The third mistake you can make is trying to live in the lap of luxury. Great example. You've had your eyes on a European sports car forever, and it cost X amount of dollars. But is it really in the budget? And ask yourself, is it really that important? Would it not be more beneficial to you to pick a lesser automobile and have more money to do things like travel, meet your monthly needs, and fix the house, and buy things that are meaningful rather than like to have? So the question you always need to ask yourself, do I really need this? Why do I need this? Is this a want or a need? And I think once you start making a Ben Franklin list, doing the pros and the cons, you're going to tell yourself, you know what, I really don't need that. It'd be nice to have, but I'm not in the financial area right now, or the financial status right now to own something like that. So I think I'm going to bypass it and do something that's well within my means. The other thing I have found retirees do is they panic about investments. They've made investments, and then all of a sudden they watch the stock market go down, and they want to sell everything off. That's just about the worst thing to do. I've been taught a couple things. I've been taught that you can't buy things that you really can't afford, and that includes stocks. And stocks mean something simple like they're going to go up, they're going to go down. I've always been taught that never invest more than you can afford, and without a hit to your pocketbook. But playing stocks because you think you got a sure winner is like going to Las Vegas and thinking that you're going to hit the mother lode at the gambling table. Chances are probably real good they're going to take your money and you're not going to win that money back. So you need to stop thinking about that. You need to quit panicking about investments. Change is hard to do, and it usually takes a person 90 days to embrace change. I think I've shared on these podcasts in the past, I got a background in adult learning and change management. And whenever I tried to teach a company's people, their customers, or their distributors a new way, regardless if it was more cost effective and more efficient, they always want to go back to the same way. Well, same thing seems to happen in our finances. We haven't changed our mind shift yet. We haven't changed that, look, I can live comfortably this way. I don't have the same kind of funds that I used to have, and I might have to do things differently. You are going to be absolutely surprised how comfortable you can be with living with less. Less is more. And I know that's a crazy statement, but it's true. When you have something that you used to have and then you take it away, you're surprised, absolutely surprised at how much you do not miss it. And what I like now is I do these podcasts. I teach people how to deal with what they're going to do next in retirement. And that's enjoyable to me. I've always been a teacher, all the way back from when I used to teach in public schools when I first started my career. And then I went into online learning, and now I'm in the self-education business. And what does that mean? That means that I'm still teaching, but all those tools and processes and methodologies that I did inside of corporations, I can now take those tools, processes, and help folks that are on this podcast. I can help you to find out what is your why. Why do I want to do that? And your why is pretty much the same thing that you want to do when you're trying to decide, is this the right path for me? Especially financially, because finance, I want to harp on it, but they're a real deal. I mean, they are very, very important, and you don't need to be, in your 70s and your 80s and just say, oh my goodness, I never planned for this. Where am I going to come up with this money? You want to do everything in your power to be proactive in your health, proactive in your finances, proactive in your spending, trying to decide, do I need this or do I not? And proactive in everything you do in your life. You were put on this earth for a purpose, and people are always trying to find what that purpose is. I want to share with you that purpose is anything that excites you, helps you get up and out of the bed every day, and gives you that sense of purpose. The Japanese have a term they use. It's called ikigai. And ikigai is basically translates to a sense of purpose. This is what gets them up and out of their bed each and every day. This is what gives them meaning in their life, from the day they were born to the day that they die. Life goes in phases, and it's not always the same, and it behooves you to adjust and pivot to those changes. If you need some help, reach out. I certainly have some ideas, and I have some methodologies that can help you work through your thinking process. I thank you very much for joining this podcast, If you think anybody else could benefit from this, please share the link with them and make them part of this community so that we can help each other to live the best possible versions of ourselves. So if I can help, please DM me, reach out, and until the next time, take care of yourselves and each other. Thank you. Thanks for tuning in to Retired Now What. I hope today's conversation has given you some valuable insights as you navigate the journey of life after retirement. Always remember, life doesn't stop after retirement. It's an opportunity for a new beginning.